Wanted to ask you, the opioid crisis has killed hundreds, thousands of people, some in my own district. And in your assessment, what is the role of the CCP in contributing to the fentanyl crisis here in the United States, and how should we counter that?
Sir, it's good to see you again. Only a few years ago, China was shipping fentanyl directly into our markets, or into the black market, using the mail. We made progress, the U.S. made progress during the Trump administration in turning back that, and also getting China to classify fentanyl as a controlled substance. But what has now happened is that the Chinese state-owned firms and other companies governed by the party state in China are sending the precursor chemicals in mass quantities to Mexico and perhaps a few other markets, but primarily Mexico, to the drug cartels to create fentanyl that then washes into our streets and kills tens of thousands of Americans each year. The best that you could say is that the Chinese Communist Party is practicing malign neglect in allowing that business to continue. They could stop it if they wanted to, and that's been the judgment of many DEA and FBI officials, former officials. Craig Fowler, an admiral who commanded Southcom for us, also pointed to the fact that China has become the number one, or Chinese organized crime has become the number one provider of illicit money flows, money laundering flows. And that has fueled the fentanyl trade in the U.S. So there are things that we need to do to really go after those illicit flows of money. That means updating our Know Your Customer laws and anti-money laundering regulations for banks so that they can identify Chinese organized crime activity and Chinese United Front activity in that area, for starters, sir.
Okay, thank you. You also mentioned that Xi Jinping has called for the deepening CCP control over Chinese companies. I wanted to, and also Mr. Paul, you had mentioned the CCP fusion strategy and that no business is untainted. I wonder if you could both speak to that situation.
Well, one of the remarkable things that Xi Jinping has ushered in has been really the re-centralization of party control over the economy and over businesses, including private companies. And that's why we've seen the decimation of private companies in China over the past couple of years, the pushing out of the founders of dynamic companies like Alibaba, Jack Ma, who was identified as, really one of the founders of that whole sector. They've been pushed out of their companies. And Beijing has been trying to promote the idea that it's now safe again to invest in China. But in a classic example of dual messaging, we see one message being provided to foreign investors, at Davos, and at the same time, in Chinese language only side notes that are being issued by Xi Jinping, literally simultaneously, he's saying we need to double down and strengthen the party's control over economic activity. And the party now governs the major actions of these companies. They've taken what they call a golden share. So the Communist Party now owns a vote on the board of nominally private companies in China.